Good morning and welcome back to the One Celtic Fans View. Good morning, everybody that's in the chat this morning. I hope today finds you well. It's nice and sunny here. Don't tell me what the weather's like. Just sign a bloody striker, Celtic. Yeah, sign on. He's quite mad. Just sign a striker. Sign a striker. We're not going to talk about strikers this morning because we all know that Kieran Bowie looks like that. I've said that Hibernian would be absolutely bonkers to sell Kieran Bowie in this window, especially when they are positioned where they are in the league. Ex-Hibs midfielder Steve McManus has reported through one of the daily papers saying that he expects if Hibs were to sell the player, they would sell the player in the summer, not in this window, which would have an effect on the league position. And then Callum Wilson. We're going to end up with Callum Wilson. You can just see it. We're going to end up with Kelechi on sticks and Callum Wilson on a Zimmer frame up front. That's all I'm going to talk about strikers this morning. I'm going to talk about managers. Who will be the next manager? And there's one that got me thinking. There was a guy that was at the Glasgow Derby. And I seen him in the stand on the telly, but I didn't really take any notice of it. I know he was a big Celtic fan, and I know that he is a big Celtic fan, and he played for Manchester United. Why not Darren Fletcher? With Darren Fletcher as manager. That's just one the left field. It's just a left field one. But anyway, we didn't go for Darren Fletcher. We went for the ones that are being muted as possible Celtic manager. We've done a poll, as always, on the channel in the morning. Who would you want as next manager? Roberto Martinez. Then you've got the Motherwell manager, Jens. Doing a good job at Motherwell. Not got a lot of money. Got a tune out of Stephen Welsh. Or Stevie Clark, who has got Scotland to a World Cup. Stevie Clark is international manager. You've got to say he done the job that was required of him. His remit was to get Scotland to tournaments. He's done it. He was good at Kilmarnock. He wound up the other mob on the other side of the city saying bye-bye Rangers on the last day of the season when he finished second with Kilmarnock. Not that that's any reason that Stevie Clark should be given the manager's job. And then there's Craig Bellamy. And you can only fit 4 on the poll, and that was the 4 that I picked. Obviously, we could have added about 3 or 4 others. Robbie Keane, I could have added Robbie Keane instead of the Motherwell manager. But the Motherwell manager's on our doorstep. And I think there's a lot of Celtic fans wouldn't really want Robbie Keane. Just saying. But, I mean, he is Robbie Keane would be first choice for Rod the Prod. Shouldn't call him that first thing in the morning. But anyway, give me your thoughts in the comment section about who you really think. I can see it being Robbie Keane, says Pub Cat. Can you see it being Robbie Keane? I don't think it would be Robbie Keane. Robbie Keane's not out of a job. And you've got to look at the way that Celtic will do things. I know the Motherwell manager's in position, but it wouldn't cost a lot of money. And you've got to think the way that this Celtic board are going. They're not spending. I mean, for me, I would pay the 5 million to Ipswich and try and get their manager. I think that he gives overall what Celtic are really looking for. I mean, the reality is Steve Clark's too old. We won't go down the road of Steve Clark. Not Keane or Bellamy, says Robert. And then narrows it down to Martinez, the Motherwell manager. Chris Davies? Nah. Chris Davies he still wants to take Yang in this window. That is one bit of transfer news. They have not given up on signing Yang from Celtic. As much as we do not want to lose Yang, it's very Celtic way to sell your best players right under your nose. So I'm saying that nothing is possible. Nothing is impossible. Anyway, the referee for tomorrow night's game will be Beaton. He'll be supported by Ross McLeod and Alistair Mather. On the touchlines, VAR duty again will be with Grant Irvine and Ross Hardy. Grant Irvine was VAR just a couple of weeks ago for Celtic, if my mind is correct. I'm sure it was Grant Irvine that was. But anyway, cheating beaten, as we all know, that is he is the man in between the sticks, and it's all about a potential. I mean, is Martin O'Neill going to change the lineup? I think the big one for what we're waiting to hear today from Martin O'Neill will be whether Austin Trusty is injured, and if he is injured, it means that they play Stephen Welsh. Stephen Welsh, the hero of Celtic. Stephen Welsh is getting. Do you know what Stephen Welsh's career is now reminding me of? Mikey Johnston. Mikey Johnston comes through the ranks at Celtic. Celtic fans say he's not good enough. Put him out on loan, bring him back. Still say he's not good enough, and then he ends up just asking for a transfer. The exact same, as a carbon copy of Mikey Johnson at Celtic. Stephen Welsh is going to be the exact same. And I feel sorry for Stephen Welsh because we should have just left him at Motherwell. Let me see. We need a manager who players want to play for. We need a manager who players want to play for. I voted for Martinez. I think that the next manager, Celtic are looking for the next manager that will give 3 or 4 years to Celtic. What about Maloney and Fozzie? Would Celtic go down that road? Sometimes the obvious is staring you in the face, but having Sean Maloney been sacked by Hibs, him and Fozzie have had a good career as number twos, not so much as a number one for Maloney. Sometimes you're better staying as number twos, but you never know. I would like to see both of them stay at Celtic in some capacity, because I think that it gives whoever comes in a ready-made backroom team. And I think sometimes, a bit like when John Kennedy was at Celtic, sometimes you're better not being the number one. It gives you a bit more longevity. If Celtic say, look, we've got these guys here that have done fantastic for us, and they say to any manager that comes in, obviously you're the manager and it's your choice, but we would like to retain their services. And if you don't want them in the first team, they will be in the club somewhere. Simple as that. We've done it before. Maloney would go back to his pathway manager job, but Fozzie I would like to see him at the club. See how the Motherwell manager does this season. I think if he stays in fourth position, I think he's a good shout for the manager. The manager's job will take care of itself. We need players in this window, especially a striker. Well, like I said, we're going to end up with Callum Wilson and Kelechi Iheanacho as your two focal points towards the end of the season, and it's going to be a case of which one of them manages to stay fit for any length of time. Iheanacho, worst signings, I would say, since Cascarino itself, Tony Cascarino. Anyway, I'm getting fear, nightmares, scenarios about Celtic strikers, and I want to take a morning off even thinking about transfers, because the club the club have won. They're not going out and spending big money. They have beaten the fans. Fans that are now can't be bothered with any anti-board protests, and they've got a free rein till the end of the season. And then it's only at the end of the season the fans will go, sack the board, and it's too late. It's too late. You're not going to get rid of the board. You might get rid of one in the summer if it goes right. That's the season done. I've dusted. I'm going to try something new, but I can't see it. I can't see it. The board have won, as far as I'm concerned. If you were coming in, you would want money to spend as part of the deal. We all know what the board are like. What about Roy Keane? Take no shit. Roy Keane doesn't have the best track record as manager. Roy Keane. I would rather someone younger like Darren Fletcher. It's a bit left wing. Loves Celtic. Do you know, Roy Keane's a plastic Celtic fan. I'm not having this nonsense that Roy Keane's a Celtic fan. He's not. Darren Fletcher grew up a Celtic fan. Everybody at Man United knew that he was a big Celtic fan. Just saying. For me, no to Roy. If you had the choice, I mean, maybe that should be, if you had the choice, Roy Keane or Darren Fletcher, who would you go for? I'd go for Darren Fletcher all day long. All day long. Martinez knows Sean and Fozzie will stay, hopefully. Cheating beating as usual. Yep, it is the cheating beating. But you never say anything that we don't want to lose. Yang. Yeah, I'll admit that. Yang last season, it was Marmite. It was, you know, I thought he was one of the worst players that were brought over from Asia. This season, he's turned into, let's be honest, anybody that takes on a couple of players in this current Celtic team, anybody that takes on two players and gets a shot at goal, instantly shines in a light at Celtic just now, because that shows how bad we've been this season. And the fact that Yang has shone and has turned into some fantastic player in moments in games. I mean, that goal against Rangers was one of the best goals. I mean, it was, somebody said on the game live, it was like watching a young Ryan Giggs on the goal that he scored against Arsenal back in the day. And it was almost a carbon, but it wasn't almost a carbon copy, because Ryan Giggs took the ball for the halfway line and went right down the wing, took on three or four Arsenal players, and hit a screamer into the back of the net. You could say that Yang coming on off the wing, he was a bit closer to the box. He wasn't as far back as what Ryan Giggs was, but he did take on, I think it was 3 Rangers players, and then put the ball in the back of the net. You can understand why people are going, oh, that reminds me of a young Ryan Giggs. But Yang's nowhere near Ryan's Giggs material. He could possibly, if he'd done it for 90 minutes of a game, but we all know that Yang's got this ability to go down the wing, and then he's in this perfect position to just cross the ball in, and it goes out for a goal kick. And you're thinking, is that the same guy? Don't know. But Yang is an important player to the squad, and the squad's decimated. The squad is completely decimated, and that's why we can't lose Yang at this moment, because I have no faith in Celtic, and this is, it's a sad indictment of where Celtic are right now, that we've no faith in us bringing in quality. You know, and this goes all the way back to Brendan Rodgers. You know, he didn't bring in quality during his time, really. I mean, it's been a while since we've, you know, brought in someone that you think, yeah, there's a £25 million player. That conveyor belt stopped of turning players into £20 million players. Those days are gone. I think Celtic will revert back to buying in players for £2 million and try to sell them for £10 million. You know, the off chance that we try and get £25 million for a player, I think it's well gone. The Lanarkshire Ref Mafia. Yeah, it's an organisation. I chose Martinez, but I'd be surprised if it wasn't Maloney. Rocky's better than Welsh. Get him back. I don't know how that would work. I don't know if there's anything. It's weird. I think he's the better player. Rocky's the better player. He was worth more. It's just everything at Celtic is just completely bizarre. It is just bizarre. I still think Stephen Welsh should be sold at the end of this window. Don't know what would be worse, having cheating, beating, or Schmeichel between the sticks. Pubcat, you're going to have both. Tell him about it. It's Colin who appoints the referees for each game. Yep. COVID season 2, bringing in another Uruguayan who won't enjoy Scotland. Big shout out to Stephen Johnson there. Can you see Rangers or the Diet Huns dropping points in the league? I think that all the top 4 will drop points. I think that the top 4 teams will all drop points. It's not going to be. I don't think that any of them. And it depends who Rangers buy and if they click. You know, they've finally got a manager that looks as if he could do something. You know, and maybe Danny Role is for all the piss taking that we took at him. Maybe he's the man that could do it. But then you've got to say, Hearts manager knows how to grind out wins. Do you know, maybe when he moved to Hearts after him being at Aberdeen and stuff, you know, he took Aberdeen in touching distance with Celtic when Celtic Rodgers were under Brendan Rodgers, and Brendan Rodgers had a fantastic team and we were steamrolling the league, we were winning trebles, but Aberdeen were up there punching. McInnes had Aberdeen going toe to toe with us to cup finals, and you had fantastic players at Celtic that were able to score unbelievable goals, which ultimately shone through. But he now thinks that Heart of Midlothian are the club that will get him that league title. I still think that McInnes has a league title in him. And will it be this season? It's a massive, massive possibility. Massive possibility. You know, they don't have to win. Hearts don't have to win 2 or 3-0 every game now. 1-0 wins to the end of the season. Ugly, ugly games of football. You know, just putting in a fight, making sure that they don't lose goals, they get the odd one goal. Derek McInnes, if you sat and spoke to Derek McInnes and said, would you take a 1-0 win in the last 17 games of the league, he would bite your hand off. Because if Celtic win 1-0, 2-0, 3-0, doesn't matter. As long as Hearts keep winning 1-0, fair play to them. Do you know, fair play to McInnes for doing it. He's a manager that you've known it's been there ever since he was at Kilmarnock. You know, he did well with Kilmarnock. Went to Aberdeen, he did well with Aberdeen. Got them in touch and distance to Celtic. Left Aberdeen. Went to Hearts. Hearts are the club where he's thinking, do you know what? I've maybe finally got owners that have got the ambition. You know, I think that Aberdeen, there was maybe something in the boardroom and stuff where you're thinking, they don't believe. They didn't have that belief that they had under the great Fergie in his days back in the 1980s. You know, Fergie believed that they could win it. They knew that they could win it. They knew that they could beat the Glasgow 2. McInnes has kind of instilled that into this Hearts team. And if they do win it, I'm going to say fair play. Do you know, we were woeful. We do not deserve to win it. Not a jot. We Mitch sent 5 One Celtic Fans View gift memberships. Well done, We Mitch. Thank you for that. You'll all be pleased. The only team that looks like dropping points is us. I hope I'm wrong, says Joseph Davison. I think the way that Celtic are going at the moment, a manager on the cheap. Yep. Hence the reason Martinez will be out of job in the summer. Steve Clark will be out of job in the summer, and Craig Bellamy also may be out of job in the summer. Hence the reason that I think it could be one of those, either that or I've still got a funny feeling that Maloney's been brought back for Martinez to come in. Do you know? Hun spend a tenner, we spend hee haw. All three will drop points. I think that all four will drop points, the top four. I was in charge of the class at Celtic Park. Wilson and Kalechi. And a three-legged race, injury prone. That's the way that it's going to be. Morning to you. I think Martin might do. No, he won't. Get it out your head. Martin O'Neill will not do next season. He said he won't. He will not do next season. He said he could win the league. He could win the Europa. He never said that, but he said Martin O'Neill's exact words: no matter what happens this season, I will not be here next season. That is it. He will not be here next season. He said it. He will not change his tune. And people will say, but he changed his tune and came back. Celtic were in a shit show fucking. Do you know what I mean? He knows that Celtic will spend the majority the next few months identifying the next manager. And Martin O'Neill said it. Celtic want to bring in a manager that sees Celtic as a 3 or 4 year project. Martin O'Neill's not got 3 or 4 years in him. Martin O'Neill thinks he's not got 3 or 4 years left in life. Never mind in football. And he doesn't want to do what Jock Stein did. Rest his soul. Die on the pitch. You know, that'd be the worst thing ever for his family to go through. And where about managers performing at small clubs? No pressure to succeed. Can they handle a big club? Gamble like Wilfred Nancy. Can you say one name? Neil Lennon didn't manage anyone before he came to Celtic. We forget that. Do you know? We forget that. Don Fletcher can't get a win at Man U, for fuck's sake. Scottish football's a wee bit easier than the English Premiership. Still want McKenna. That would be my choice, but you know, the 5 million compensation. There's no way are Celtic paying 5 million compensation for anybody. Celtic girl did vote for Steve Clark just to annoy everyone. She says she's kidding, but she's not. I have a donkey in one of my fields. I'll get him on the ferry. Stephen Johnson has done a super chat this morning. Let me just see that. Super chat from Stephen Johnston. Thank you for that, Stephen. Smash the thumbs up. I'm going to jump. It's just jumped right to the end. The sound's been bad. Maybe I'll take this off. Is that better if I take the muffler off? The sound has been okay when I do this, because I can listen to on this. You never know. I would like to see. Don't know. But Yang is an important player to the squad. And the squad's. But he now thinks that heart of Midland. Yeah. They'll all be pleased. But anyway, well done to Stephen Johnson for the super chat this morning. Let me just do this. Thank you. Stephen Johnson. Steve Clark. Steve Clark is too moody. Steve Clark is. And the squad's. But he now thinks that Steve Clark is too moody. Craig Bellamy, right? Let's jump into the poll and see what everybody thinks on the poll. The Highlanders 67s just became a member also. Man United are about as toxic a club nowadays as Tottenham. Yeah, they are that. Joseph Davidson says it sounds fine. Yeah, it's maybe the muffler. It's a bit past it. Celtic manager. We've had 173 votes. Who would you want as the next Celtic manager? Roberto Martinez, 68%. Jens, the Motherwell manager, 15%. Steve Clark, 9%. Craig Bellamy, 7%. And I know that that's not the sort of the final list. You know, there are still other managers out there that could be within 9. Could be within a potential list. I think that Celtic going forward, we'll wait and see who the manager might be. Anyway, Kieran Bowie, he's never coming to Celtic in this window. Callum Wilson, he's trying to get his contract to come to an end at West Ham. Could he come to Celtic? It wouldn't surprise me if he ended up at Celtic, but I think that this may be 5 in a row, might be just one too many this time. I think that if we do get 5 in a row, it would be fantastic. And I tell you one thing, if we did do 5 in a row this year, what an absolute unbelievable turnaround of events. It's because it's updated. It's done a software update. It should be better like that. It's the volume more. Cheers, Scottish Gamer. It's I'll take the echo off as well, and then mute the system, sound effects, guest interviews. That should take it down a bit, which should be a lot better. So yeah, right. There's not a lot of Celtic news kicking about this morning because let's face it, it is all about the game tonight. Tomorrow night, sorry. We'll get an interview with Martin O'Neill this afternoon. It'll be interesting to see what Martin O'Neill says to the media. I think that the most important question that Martin O'Neill should be asked today is, does a certain Celtic player want away still? Does Daizen Maeda want away? Wonder if Bowie has a buy-out clause, and how much is it? Surely 5 million. If so, then decide. Well, Hibs won't want to sell him. Hibs won't want to sell him. But as we aren't capable of 5 in a row, we are car crash. Yeah, we are car crash stuff, aren't we? It's Celtic are you never know. Martin O'Neill may be able to turn it around if he gets the players. But 13 days into the window, and the biggest signing that looked as if we were going to do was going to be a project player. And Martin O'Neill doesn't want project players. We've won 5 games in a row once in the past 13 months when O'Neill was here last time. Can we win more games now? Can we go on a run? Can we go on a run to the end of the season? I don't know. Anyway, that's me done and dusted for this morning. But let's go do a check. He's on mute. Yeah, I'd love to be on mute. Anyway, have a fantastic day, Celtic fans, wherever you are, all around the world. Let's finish off the poll and end that poll there. 69% want Roberto Martinez, 14% want the Motherwell manager, 9% want Stevie Clark, 8% want Craig Bellamy. Jesus. There we go.